Hey everyone, Jared here with ToneandTitan.com, and this is going to be a shredded six-pack workout that you can do at home. No equipment required on this one. We're going to run through about 8 of my favorite body weight core exercises. We'll be doing them in 40-20 intervals. That means we'll do 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of a low interval. I kind of like to do an active recovery, active rest, low interval. Here we go. Let's get things started. So we'll do the first exercise is a plank touchdown. So you're up in this tall plank position, and then what you're going to do is just bend at your knees until your knees just barely touch the ground, and then return to that upright position. Planks are probably one of my favorite core exercises. We work all the layers of the abdominal wall with this one, not just like single muscles with this. It's a great way to kick them all on. Now, for the first 20 seconds of this workout video, I'm going to show you a beginner version of the exercise. For the second 20 seconds of the exercise, I'm going to show you a more advanced version. So if you need something a little more advanced than just the simple touchdowns, try to kick it into a plank with a march. So see that my back is nice and straight. So looking for a straight line from my shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, all the way down. And then you're going to alternate marching left foot, right foot up towards the ceiling. Now for our 20-second low intensity period, again, I've chosen to do a little bit more of an active low intensity period. I'm doing a little bit of a boxer shuffle here just to keep my heart rate up, just to keep the blood flowing a little bit more effectively during the workout. Exercise number 2 is going to be an overhead crunch. So I'm going to lay down on my back with my knees bent, and then my arms go up and over my head, and then I'm going to raise my arms up towards the ceiling, hands kind of towards the ceiling, until my shoulder blades lift up off of the ground. Another option with this would be to actually reach your hands down towards your kneecaps and just slide your fingertips to your kneecaps. Now, if you need a little bit higher intensity version of this exercise, we're going to do an overhead sit-up, basically. And so my arms are still going up and over my head, but now I'm coming all the way up into the full sit-up position. What we're doing here, so with the arms reaching up and over your head, you actually get maximum length out of that rectus abdominis muscle, is the six-pack muscle that goes down the front of your abdomen. When we maximize the stretch on that, we're going to maximize, basically we're working the muscle throughout its full range of motion. Makes the exercise a little bit more effective in that way. And so there's your 40-second high interval. Here's your 20-second low interval. The next exercise we're going to get into is a high knee chop to the left. And so both my arms are up and over my head to the right, and then I'm going to bring both hands down kind of towards my left hip, while my left knee actually drives up towards my right shoulder. And so this is another great exercise. This is one of my favorite standing abs exercise, just because we're working so many layers of that abdominal wall with this one as well. If you need the higher intensity, feel free to kick it up a notch. So we're going to just increase speed. We're going to turn the exercise into a little bit of a plyometric activity for your muscles. With the increased speed, you're also going to get in more reps in the 40-second time period. Great way that we're going to activate a lot of the rectus. So again, that's the six-pack muscle down the front. But then as we add those knee drivers to the opposite shoulder, so again, my knee was driving kind of up and over towards my right shoulder, we're kicking on a rotary component with that. So we're working internal, external obliques as we do that, as we put that little variation on it. Okay, so here's our 20-second low-intensity interval period again, and then we're going to kick into our next exercise. Is going to be the high knee chops, this time to the right. And so again, my arms are up and over my head, kind of to my left as they drop down towards my right hip. My right knee comes up and over towards my left shoulder is the direction that I'm driving this. Again, the beginner version of this is you're going to take it nice and easy. So that knee comes up nice and easy. The hands go up over your head and back down nice and easy. This is your workout. This is your time to do whatever you can with what you've got, all within your experience level, within your strength level. If you do need the higher intensity version of this, feel free to kick it up into the faster speed. Now we're just getting in more reps per given unit of time. Again, it's a 40-second interval. However many reps that you get through, that's completely up to you. Okay, you guys, you're looking good, and so we're getting our way through this. We're about halfway done with it right now. Again, we're just doing about 8 exercises here. Try to keep the heart rate up on your low intensity interval period, and then we're going to get down into our next exercise are going to be some right-sided plank hip dips. And so we're going to get down on my right side, so I'm on my right elbow, and again, the beginner version of this would be a modified side plank, and so I'm on a bent right knee, and then you're going to dip your hips down towards the ground, so my right hip touches the ground, and then you're going to use the muscles in the right side of your trunk to push your left hip up as high as you can towards the ceiling. Now, if you need a little bit higher intensity version of this, we're going to kick it from the modified side plank up into a full side plank. And so now you'll see that I'm on the outside of my right foot and still on my right elbow, and then the motion is still just the same. same. I'm using that, I'm dropping that right hip down towards the mat. I'm using those right lateral trunk muscles, specifically my right obliques, to push that left hip up towards the ceiling, just as many times as you can in that 40-second high interval period. And so then we'll follow that up with our 20-second low interval. Again, I'm doing a boxer shuffle here. Maybe you're just doing a high knee, maybe you're doing a jumping jack, jump rope, walking around the room. All are good options just to keep the heart rate going to maximize our calorie burn. Now we'll drop down for our next exercise. Is going to be a left side plank with a hip dip. And so the modified version again of this, the beginner version, is that I'm actually going to bend my knee. So I'm on my left elbow and I'm on the outside of my left knee, dropping that left hip down towards the ground and then using those left lateral trunk muscles to push that right hip straight up towards the ceiling. If you need a little bit higher intensity version of this one, again, kick it into the full side plank. And so now I'm on the outside of my left foot, my left elbow is still on the ground. Basically, we're just playing with physics here. We're using a little bit longer lever arm, just requires a little bit more muscle activation as you get out onto the outside of your foot as opposed to the outside of your knee. Okay, there's your 40-second high period. Here's your 20-second low period. Again, whatever, I like the boxer shuffle. I don't have a ton of space in this area that I'm working out in, and so this boxer shuffle doesn't take a ton of space. Do whatever you can with what you've got. Okay, the next exercise I like is the Russian twist. And so to do this one, we're seated with our knees bent, reclined slightly kind of at the hips so the trunk is leaning backwards slightly. And then what you're going to do is rotate as far as you can to the left and as far as you can to the right. Now you'll see here that I'm trying to separate my shoulders. Basically my shoulders are rotating as far as I can take them. Don't just take your arms through the motion. Here I am, a little bit higher intensity version if you can do it. So we're going to kick up speed. You'll notice that I also lean back a little bit further. Kicks on that rectus abdominis a little bit more effectively. Obliques have to work a little bit harder at that steeper incline, also at the faster rate of the twist there. So what I was going to mention is that I want your shoulders to rotate as far as you can. I don't want you to just move your hands from side to side. I actually want you to focus on rotating your shoulders all the way to the left and then all the way to the right during that Russian twist motion. Okay, we've got 3 seconds left on this, our low interval period, and then we're going to get into the leg drop pike crunches. This is going to be our last exercise. So here I am on my back with both my legs straight up towards the ground. I'm going to drop the right, and then I'm going to drop the left, and then I'm going to do a crunch. And so there's my leg drop right, there's my leg drop left, and then the pike crunch as I reach up towards my toes. You'll notice that my feet don't ever come in contact with the ground, so I want you to use your core muscles to kind of stabilize and control that motion all the way down. Now, if you need a higher intensity version of this, you'll see that we just add a crunch between each leg drop now. So it was right, left, and then crunch. Now it's right crunch, left crunch, right crunch, left crunch. We're kicking on a lot more crunches as we do this. Great way to work the upper part of the abs, specifically that rectus abdominis is that six-pack muscle. Okay, so there you go, you guys. So we shredded our way through our first set of these. Again, it's 8 exercises. We're doing about a minute worth. We'll 40 on, 20 off of each of those exercises. Now what we'll do is we'll take our first quick break. So take 60 seconds right now, get a drink of water, catch your breath, and then come right back here and we'll get going for set number 2. All right, welcome back for set 2 in this our shredded 6-pack at-home workout. Again, we're doing some 40-20 intervals on 8 great exercises here. We'll go ahead and get started with our first one. Is going to be the plank touchdown. So you're up in this tall plank position. Again, in the tall plank, what I'm looking for is a straight line from my shoulders, hips, knees, ankles. Don't let your back round out too much. That's one of the most common mistakes that I see with people on the plank. Try to keep your back flat. Try to keep your stomach sucked in. The touchdown part comes where you're going to bend both your knees until your knees just touch the floor underneath you and then straighten them back out. Now if you need the higher intensity version of this, again we're going to add the march into the mix, and so now we're going to do a tall plank with a march. And so same position, but now I'm not bending my knees to do the touchdown. Rather I'm using kind of the glutes and the back muscles and the core muscles to stabilize as I'm alternating lifting each leg up off of the ground. Left leg, left leg, right leg. Looks just like that. Is going to be the plank touchdown, or if you need the advanced version or more the kind of intermediate advanced version of it, is going to be the plank with a march. And so here's your 20-second low interval period. Again, I'm coming at you with the boxer shuffle. We'll do that for about 3 more seconds, and then we get into our next exercise, is the overhead crunches. Lay on your back with your knees bent, arms come up and over your head, and then you're going to raise your arms kind of up and over your head towards the ceiling, just enough that you're going to lift your shoulder blades up off of the ground. So again, we're making that rectus abdominis muscle as long as we can by adding that overhead reach, and then we're actually, lifting the shoulder blades up off of the floor underneath you, so that we're kicking on a little bit more of that muscle. The next, the higher intensity version of this exercise would be the full sit-up. So now I've still got that reach overhead. We're getting into the full sit-up. So again, we're maximizing length here. We're going all the way long up and over my head, and then we're going all the way to max, kind of a position of maximum contraction as you do that full sit-up. And so there you go. So there's the 40-second high period. Here's our 20-second low period. Again, maybe you're doing some jumping jacks. Maybe you're walking around the room, go up and down a flight of stairs, whatever you've got at your disposal that you can get through in about 20 seconds. Next, let's get into our high knee chops onto the left. And so both of my hands are up and over my head to my right, and then as I drop them down towards my left hip, my left knee comes up and over towards my right shoulder. Really focus on trying to squeeze the core with this one. Try to keep your stomach muscles tight, and then as your knee comes up and as your hands come down, focus on really crunching those abs. It's a great exercise if you're focused on the right thing. If you need the higher intensity version of this, just kick your speed up. And so again, this is your workout. This is, your time to do whatever you can do. So given your skill level, I just want to try to push yourself. Try to do as much as you can with what you've got. So there's 3, 2, 1. Okay, and there's our high knee chops on the left. We'll take our 20-second active rest or active recovery period now, and then we'll get into the high knee chops on the right is going to be the next exercise. And so we'll get into that in just about 5 seconds. Again, here's the boxer shuffle. You're doing whatever you feel comfortable with at home, and then let's get into the high knee chops on the right. So both my hands are going up and over my head to the left. As they come down to my right hip, my right knee is actually driving up and towards my left shoulder. And so again, we're really focusing on squeezing the stomach with this. It's great for the hip flexors. Your anterior core muscles have to stabilize while the knee's coming up. They also have to, bend your trunk forward as you're lowering both hands over towards the opposite side. We're kicking on the rectus. That's that six-pack muscle in the front as we're doing this kind of crunch motion. But we're also kicking on a lot of obliques as we're working through this rotation motion as well. Okay, so there's your 40-second high interval period. We're going to follow that up with our 20-second low interval period, and then we're going to get into our next exercise. You guys are doing great. Keep it up. Again, try to push yourself just as hard as you can with this. Try to keep the heart rate up. Not a very long workout, but we're going to try to maximize every second of it. Let's get into our next exercise. It's going to be that right side plank with the hip dip. So again, I'm down on my right side right now. I'm in a modified plank position. So I'm on my right elbow and on the outside of my right knee. And then I'm going to let that right hip drop down towards the ground, barely touch the ground. And then I'm going to use those right lateral trunk muscles to push my left hip up towards the ceiling. Now, if you need a little bit higher intensity of this, kick your right leg out straight, and now we're going to do a full side plank with a hip dip. And so we're dropping down onto the right hip, and then you're pushing that left hip up towards the ceiling. Again, using those lateral trunk muscles. Great way to work your obliques. This is a great way that you can actually add a ton of resistance into a body weight exercise. Again, there's 0 weights required on any of these exercises. And so if you need something a little bit more advanced, you just kind of, again, use physics to use a little bit more of your body weight, to work a little, to lift a little bit more of that body weight a little bit more effectively. Okay, next we're going to get into that left side plank with the hip dip. So again, the same principles apply here. I'm out of my left elbow and I'm on the outside of my left knee is going to be the modified side plank position. And so you'll see here that those lateral trunk muscles, basically they only have to lift from my knee up to my core, up to my oblique muscles there. So it's not a very long, we call it a moment arm. But now if we kick the leg out straight, all of a sudden the weight is distributed from the outside of my foot all the way to my core. So it's just a lot longer of a lever that your muscles have to activate against. And so that's the difference between the modified plank and then those full side planks with this exercise. Adding the hip dip is just one more way that we can kick on those lateral trunk muscles and make those obliques work just a little bit harder. Okay, so there's your 40-second high interval period. Here's our 20-second low interval period. Try to keep your heart rate up. We've got 2 more exercises to get through, guys. I know you're feeling it. I certainly was by this point. And so let's try to get through it. And so here is our Russian twist exercise. And so seated with my knees bent, reclining just as far as you can go, and then trying to rotate from side to side. Again, my emphasis here is I want your shoulders to rotate, not just your hands to tap from side to side. So we're working a ton of obliques with this. The further you lean back, the more you're going to kick on that rectus abdominis muscle. And so then as you spin through obliques, also another way that you can increase the effectiveness, increase kind of the intensity of this exercise is to kick your speed up, and so to just get in more reps. And so again, those obliques are going to be going crazy with this. Those are the muscles on the side of your trunk. Hopefully you're feeling it right there. Great exercise for that lateral core stability. Also a great way to kind of tone up that midsection. That one hits the love handles between that one and the side plank hip dips that we just did. You guys, you'll notice a difference with that. Okay, getting into our last exercise of this, our second set, is going to be the leg drop pike crunches. So again, I'm laying on my back, both feet are up towards the ceiling. There's my right leg drop, here's my left leg drop, and then there's that pike crunch as I reach my toes up towards my, reach my fingers up towards my toes. And again here, I'm not touching all the way down, so as I'm dropping my legs, I don't want your heel to hit the ground. Higher intensity version of this is to just add in an extra crunch between each leg drop. So here comes my right leg drop, and then there's my crunch, there's my left leg drop, and there's my crunch. We're just doing twice the crunches that we would with kind of that beginner demonstration of that first exercise. All right, so there's our 40-second high interval. We'll get into one more 20-second low interval. You guys are doing so great. So we've got 2 sets down. We've got 1 more set to go. And so now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take a 60-second break at the end of this interval. Grab some water, take a quick rest. Again, about 1 minute worth is all that I want you to do. Catch your breath for a minute, and then come back and we'll shred our way through our third and final set. All right, you guys, welcome back for our third and final set in this 25-minute at-home shredded 6-pack workout right here on Tone and Tighten. Hope you guys have been enjoying this one so far. Let's see if we can get our way through this third set. First thing we're going to do are our plank touchdowns, and so you're up in the tall plank position, straight line from your shoulders, hips, knees, ankles. Don't let the back arch too much. Don't let it round either up towards the ceiling or down towards the ground. Keep your core nice and tight. I'd like to tell people if you keep your belly button sucked in, that's a great way to ensure that your stomach's nice and tight up in a plank position. And then we're just going to add those touchdowns by bending the knee. If you need the higher intensity version of this, we're going to take the touchdown and we're going to make it a march instead. And so now we're using actually a lot of the hip extensor muscles, so we're working glutes with this. We're also working those lower back muscles to stabilize. This is a popular one that I give to my patients who complain of low back pain. We'll do some of these plank with marches, or if we can't get to that point yet, we're doing the plank with the touchdown on there. Okay, very nice. And so there's your 40-second high period, your 20-second low period. Maybe you're walking around the room, you're doing some high knees, you're marching in place, you're sidestepping side to side, you're doing a jump rope, whatever you've got available to you. Okay, the overhead crunches is going to be our next one. So arms come up and over your head, reach up towards the ceiling until you lift your shoulder blades up off of the ground, and then slowly return to that starting position. This is a great exercise. This is really going to target and focus on that upper part of that rectus abdominis muscle. So you're going to feel this a ton in your upper abs. If you need the higher intensity version of this, we're going to kick the crunch into a full sit-up. And so now we're taking just, focusing on that upper rectus, that upper part of your abs, and we're focusing on the whole thing as we come up through that full sit-up. So you're going to get a lot more middle and lower abs with this as well. So it works a little bit more effectively, but it is a little bit more difficult. Again, I want you to try to push yourself. I want you to try to do just as much as you can with your current experience level, with your current strength level. If all you can do is just lift your shoulder blades up off of the ground, if all you can do is the crunch version of that exercise, that's great. You know what? You're here, you're making the changes, you're doing the things that you need to do to take the steps towards those fitness fitness goals that you need to. Our next exercise is going to be the high knee chops on the left, and so both hands come up and over my head, kind of towards the right. As they drop down towards my left hip, that left leg is going to come up and over towards my right shoulder. Again, focusing on squeezing the abs with this one. Keep that belly button sucked in nice and tight if you can. If you need the higher intensity version of this, now we're just going to kick up the speed, make it a little bit more of a plyometric activity. We're going to get a few more reps in per given unit of time, meaning in that 40-second time period. The faster you go, the more reps you get in. And so try to push yourself, do whatever you feel is comfortable, do whatever you feel like you can, and there's your 40-second high period on those high knee chops to the left. And so take our 20-second active rest or active recovery period. Again, our low intervals, I want you to keep moving. I don't want you to just stand around statically. And then we'll get into our 40-second high knee chop on the right. We're going to do that in 3, 2, 1. Arms go up and over my head to the left, and then as I drop down towards my right hip, my right knee drives up and towards my left shoulder. Again, focus on squeezing your abs with this. I don't want it to be just an upper body workout. I don't want it to be just a hip flexor workout. If you focus on your stomach and if you focus on those muscles that we're trying to target, I promise that you'll really feel it in those areas. Again, the higher intensity is we're going to kick up the speed, make it a little bit more of a plyometric activity. The difference here is that we're actually going to work some of the faster twitch muscle fibers, some of those type 2 muscle fibers, as opposed to just the type 1 muscle fibers or the slow twitch fibers that we do at the slower speeds. And so just, makes things a little bit more effective, makes it a little bit more of a sport workout, a little bit more of a plyometric workout, working fast twitch fibers instead of slow twitch fibers. You also get in more reps for the 40-second time period. Okay, so our 20-second active recovery, I'm doing my boxer shuffle. We're going to do that for 3 more seconds, and then we'll get into those right side plank hip dips. And so I mentioned love handles with the last set. This is one of my favorites at targeting specifically those muscles that are on the side of your abs that are responsible for some of that muffin top, some of that. I mean, again, these are words that people tell me all the time. How do I get rid of a muffin top? How do I get rid of a love handle? This is one of the great exercises to do that. Again, the higher intensity version is we're going to kick it from the modified right side plank up into the full right side plank. And so I went from my knee all the way out onto my foot now. And then I'm still trying to get in just as many reps as I can. So focus on squeezing. Again, it's that right side of your abs, the right lateral trunk, kind of oblique muscles that are going to lift that left hip up towards the ceiling. Okay, very nice. So there's our 40-second high period, 20-second low period. Again, maybe you're marching in place. Maybe you're doing a high knee jump rope motion. Jumping jacks are another great option, whatever you can do. And so now let's get into the modified side plank on the left side with the hip dip. And so again, the modified side plank, I'm on my knee and on my elbow. I'm squeezing my left abs to raise my right hip up towards the ceiling. Really trying to focus on smashing that side ab over there, those obliques, as I'm raising that right hip. The higher intensity version, again, is just going to be kicking that leg out straight, and then the same thing applies. Again, if you want just a great body weight exercise to activate those oblique muscles, it's hard to beat these side planks with a hip dip. Just works a ton of those muscles, works them really hard, body weight only. It's hard to beat this one, and so that's the side plank with the hip dip. There's your 40-second high period, and I've got great news, you guys. We've only got about 2 exercises left, correction. And so let's get into our next one. Is going to be the Russian twist. We'll hit that in about 3, 2, 1. So seated on your backside with your knees bent, and then you're going to recline as much as you can, and then rotate my shoulders from side to side. Again, the beginner version of this, you'll see that I'm not reclined too far. I do need you to recline a little bit to kick the ab muscles on, but then as I'm rotating from side to side, it's just a smaller motion. I'm really trying to separate my shoulders, get my shoulders all the way down. Now, if you need the higher intensity version of this, or the way that you can kick up the intensity, is you're going to lean back further. You can also rotate bigger, and so really try to push yourself, really try to get your shoulder all the way rotated around as you go left and right and left and right. And then the last thing that you can do is also increase your speed. And so the faster you go, the harder those muscles have to work to kind of control that rotation through that motion. Okay, you guys are doing so great. Everything's looking so good. And so we've got just one more exercise to go. The last one is going to be those leg drop with the pike crunches. And so you'll get down on your back with your feet straight up towards the ceiling, and then alternate. So you're going to drop, here I'm going to drop my right leg first, bring it up, and then my left leg, bring it up, and then I'm going to reach towards my toes and do one of those pike crunches. So again, a leg drop pike crunch is what this one is called. And so it's a great exercise. Anytime you're moving the legs like I'm doing here, it's a great way that we can actually kick on the lower ab muscles. Probably one of my favorite ways to do that. Any type of leg drop activity, be it a single leg or a double leg or even like a bent leg, raising both of them up towards you is a great way that you're actually going to work those lower abs and target those areas. They have to be super active while the hip flexors are active. And then we kick on that pike crunch is a great way that we can kick on the upper abs as well, kind of the rectus abdominis muscle. Hey, you guys, you did it. So there's your third and final set of this 25-minute at-home core workout. Again, the goal here is to shred your six-pack. Hopefully you felt it in all of those areas. And so again, I'm Jared. This is Tone and Tighten. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and leave it a thumbs up. That really means a lot to me, so thanks for that. Also, it's a great chance to subscribe to Tone and Tighten if you have not done so yet. I share a lot of really great workouts, some other kind of health and fitness and rehab-related advice. Hope you check that out. So make sure you subscribe. We'll see you next time right here on Tone and Tighten.